Hi, welcome. Today I'm just doing a quick service, changing the oil filter and the spark plugs on an AE 2000 model Ford. The tools that you'll probably require is a jack to jack your vehicle, and you'll need to put stands underneath there. I've got a torque wrench if you want to torque the bolts underneath, and also the spark plug. I've got a breaker bar if you want to release the nut underneath. I've got some sockets and an oil filter strap, which will be able to release the oil filter. A funnel to drain your oil.
Gloves and oil pan.
So that's probably the basics, and I'll show you how to get started. First I'm going to jack the car and put the stands underneath, so that way I can get underneath and get to the oil filter and also the bolt underneath the engines to release the oil. I've jacked the vehicle onto where this metal frame is. I've raised it so I could just get it high enough so I could get the jack underneath. So I need to go a little bit higher. So we just get the jack underneath. So just underneath those frames. Now we can just lower it. So I've jacked the vehicle. Just make sure that you've once you've jacked it, just make sure you've got your handbrake on and it's in park, and you've chalked your back tyres for safety. So I'm going to start by removing the negative terminal in your battery. Just undo the bolt and just slip it off. I'll be changing the spark plugs first. So I'm going to start by the first plug, pulling that off. Got your spark plug. So I'm using a socket which I don't even know, it's not even marked on it, but it's grabbing the spark plug. Two ties, just enough so you can just bind. That's our first spark plug. Try not to force the spark plug in. It's got to go into its thread. Otherwise, you can cross thread that, and that won't be too good for the spark plug. You'll want to take it out. So just be gentle. Okay, so now we've just come to where it's just stopped, and now just a little bit, not too much. Okay, that should be enough. Put our first lead back on. push it until you hear the click. Yep, okay. Second one, same thing. So just taking it off, this 6 all up. So we have to make sure it's going anti-clockwise. Okay, so that's the second plug. So the new plug. Okay, that's just stop just a little bit. Okay, good enough. Second plug back on. Push it till you hear it click. Yeah, that's it, that's better. Okay, the click then. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more to do, so you get the idea. So get under the vehicle. And we got the oil filter just there. So we have to undo that and also the nut. And that should allow the oil to come out. I've started the car and just run it for a few minutes so the oil can circulate and be easier to drain out. So I'll undo that bolt. So I'm using a 16mm. Need a smaller little millimeter socket. This one is just hitting the metal here. So change the socket to a shorter one. Okay, we've removed the plug, let the oil drain, and we can also remove the oil filter to keep the bolt in a safe spot. So while the oil is draining, I'm going to remove the oil filter. So I'm using a oil filter strap. Okay, we've got it released. Just enough so you can grab it with your hands and turn it. Just be careful when you're draining that oil, so it's going to come out. Okay, I'll let that drain out for a little while. If you've got a rag, it's a good time to just clean around it. Okay, I'll let that drain out for a little while. I might open up the cap on top, and that way it'll allow that oil to freely move out. So I've taken the oil cap off. On top. So now that we've drained the oil, I'll just clean up just around the engine, the sump here, make sure, because we're going to be placing back the, oop, that's not good, that is not good. Drop the torch in here. Yeah. Now that's something you don't want to do. Okay, so we're just going to clean up around where the oil filter is, and the bolt. You can clean wherever the oil spilled. And I'll put the bolt back, put to 10 pounds, foot-pounds. I think that's about 40 newton meters. So I'm just going to get another cloth and I'll be back. So I've got the bolt cleaned up as best as I can. So I could tighten that to 14 newton meters or 10 foot-pounds. But I'm just going to tighten it just a little bit snug. So it's now just at the bottom, so just going just a little bit. Should be enough. So I have my oil filter I've smeared some oil around, just dipped my finger in and just smeared some oil around the rubber seal. Also, you're going to have to fill at least a half and put it on. You don't want to put it dry. So we're going to fill. You don't want to fill too much, otherwise, as you got to put it on, it's going to come out. So just spin that around. Okay, let's get that on. So let's get the oil filter mounted in. I've filled oil in the filter and smeared oil on the rubber seal. You have to get the threads in. It's got, you can feel it smoothly getting turned into the threads. We can use a strap to tighten it, or you can use it with your hand. I've gone as tight as I can with my hand. I'll just try the strap just a little bit. Okay, so we've mounted all the nut and the oil filter. Now we can fill in oil. Before I fill in oil, I'm going to have to take the off and bring the car down, so that way we get a true reading of the oil. Otherwise it'll be elevated and you won't get a true reading of the oil. So remove the jack, but make sure when you remove the jacks that everything underneath has been removed, the oil, any tools you've got, remove it before you bring it down. Always make sure you use safety at all times. The more jacks the better. If you can use 4 jacks and 1 in the center so things don't fall, just to protect yourselves. Do it at all time. Now let's fill the oil. So remove the cap, use a funnel. We're going to fill in around, I think it takes around 6.5 litres. I had to buy 2 bottles, 6 litres and 1 litre. So, oops. So I'm using 50 watt 40. Also check that with a dipstick to make sure it's got here at the bottom. It's got add, and there's 2 lines, the bottom and the top here says it's okay, and if it goes over it's full. So we've got to keep it in within that range here. The first line and the second line. So I'll keep filling until I could see the oil rising, and then we'll come back. So I've filled the oil and it's sitting right on the OK mark line. I haven't started the vehicle, so I'm going to do that now. That way the oil will circulate through the engine and also fill up the oil filter. I'll put the cap back on. So I'll just run it for at least about a minute, let the oil circulate, and I'll switch it off and let it cool down and check the oil again. So I'll switch the engine off and let it cool down. It's probably still the oil circulating, so actually let the oil just drop a little bit and then test it again. So I'll let it settle a little bit and I'll check the oil. So I've waited about 10 minutes, let the oil drop in the sump and put the dipstick back in, cleaned it, and just testing it to see where the oil is. You can see it says add. So it says okay actually. There's a line here, but I'm going to bring it up to the next line. I'm going to add a little bit more. Because I haven't actually taken the vehicle for a drive, so you might need to take it for a little bit of a drive, bring it back and check the oil, which is really important. You don't want to drop lower than it should be. You can damage your engine. And since it's running, it's also filled up the oil filter. So I'm adding more, and I will take it for a drive later and make sure when I come back, check it again. So I actually haven't gone to, how much is this? This is 6 litres. So I think I've got another litre in here. So, and off the clips, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 clips. Don't know if you can see that. 4 clips here. And this is the air filter that sits in here. It looks clean, but turn upside down, you can see it's quite dirty, so I'm going to dust that out, clean that and put it back in. So you've got some fresh air going in to the system. So I'll clean that up, put that in. So let's check the oil once more. Yep, so it's okay. So I will run it again, take it for a drive, and come back and test it, but otherwise... Thanks for watching, and see you on the next video. So I've run the vehicle. I've also got underneath, made sure there's no leaks where you put your bolt, your oil bolt, and also your oil filter. I've checked that, there's no leaks. I've run the vehicle, so I'm quite satisfied. Bye for now.